All right, so if you're a wedding photographer or photographer and you're looking to make a portfolio website, in this tutorial, I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. And I'll be quite honest, we're going to cheat a little bit by using a pre-made template and just modifying that template to create a great looking site. I did a lot of research on particularly wedding photographers' websites, and this design, you'll find very similar designs across a lot of different professional wedding photographer websites, and I think that this is a great way to get started if you're new to wedding photography or if you just need a website for your wedding photography business. So let's take a look at the site and exactly what it's going to look like when we're done. Okay, so here's the design. We've got a rotating set of images here at the top, and we've got this menu up here and this kind of fun little feature where we hover over our logo here and it changes just subtly, and that's actually just part of the website design, and I'll show you how to do that. So you can just have a regular static logo and get this kind of effect so that this will bring people back to your homepage. Got this great looking menu here. What I like about this particular design too is that the menu stays at the top the entire time, and I think as a wedding photographer, when people start getting into your gallery and looking at it, they're going to be way down on the page, and they might see that image that just sets it for them, that just says, I need to hire this person. And we want to make sure that this contact button is always right in their line of sight. So we're going to keep the menu on the top, and it's actually part of the template already. Then as we scroll down, we've got this section here talking a little bit about our business, and I'm going to show you a couple of tricks for search engine optimization to kind of help you rank in Google rankings, and we're going to talk a little bit about how to do that, and this section plays a little part in that, so we'll get into that later on. And then we've got links down here to the top weddings that we've photographed, sort of examples of our work, and then we'll have a button here which will link to all of the rest of our portfolios and portfolio examples. And this section here I thought was kind of fun. I liked this part of the design here with this kind of portfolio look, and I thought it would be a great place to kind of link to and share some of like the more exciting moments that you may have captured as a wedding photographer. So we can link that here and we can kind of show those examples. I think that one of the things that I know when I was planning my wedding with my wife, we just love to see ideas of what other people are doing in their weddings. And so I think this might be kind of a cool area to showcase that and link to a page about that. And then down here, of course, we've got to talk a little bit about ourselves. And really what you wanted to be talking about is not so much about yourself, but about the way in which you're going to capture these people's wedding and what you're going to bring to their event and how you're going to help them save their memories for the future. And then down here, we're going to create an Instagram feed. That way you can show the latest work that you've shared on Instagram, and I'll show you how to create this. And of course, we'll have a section here of testimonials, and that's always really important. People want to know about the great experiences that other couples have had. Show that off. And of course, at the bottom, we'll have this form here where people can email you and ask questions or find out about your availability. A lot of people nowadays, they don't like to pick up the phone. They just want to email you. So we'll have this form set up so that you can receive those emails. And of course, at the very bottom, we'll have your contact information and links to your social media. Link to the top, and then a link back to the main menu, which is also up here at the top. So it's going to be a fully functioning website that you can use to promote your wedding photography business or just your photography business in general. I'm Tim from realwebsitehints.com, and my mission is to help people like you who have your businesses and you're looking to get the word out about your businesses by building websites. I'm here to help you do that. So if you're ready to do that, let's sit down and get started and build this great looking portfolio website. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to need to do to get started building this website is sign up for the website builder that we're going to be using, which is Elementor Cloud. And as I said before, that's going to install WordPress, and that's going to give us access to this great template, which I might add, I have seen people spending around $700 to buy a similar template for WordPress. But with this, you get it included with the hosting. So I think that that is a fantastic savings for you. Plus, by watching this video, you're going to learn how to customize it and really be able to make the website your own. So to get started with Elementor Cloud, use the link down below, and that helps to support this channel and helps to support this free tutorial, so I definitely really appreciate that. And that's going to take you over to this page here, which is Elementor, and we're going to be using the Elementor hosting service. And if you're new to building websites, if you're new to WordPress, Elementor is a tool that sits on top of WordPress that allows you to easily design your pages. WordPress has become a little bit more easy as far as allowing you to design your pages, but still a little bit rough, and tools like Elementor give you that design control that you want and make it really easy to build pages. Plus, they do offer some great free templates, and we're going to be taking advantage of that right now. So we're going to click on Choose Your Plan here, and we want to use this website builder and hosting functionality. What I love about this feature is that normally you'd get hosting, and then you'd need to install WordPress, and then you'd need to install a theme, and then after you install your theme, you need to install the Elementor plugin, and then if you want to use these free templates that are provided, then you've got to get Elementor Pro and install that, and it can be overwhelming and unnecessarily complicated. This is a great value for getting Elementor Pro and hosting together, and what I love about it is you sign up for it, and it sets all of those things I was talking about before right up, and you're ready to go and start working on your website. And it just makes things go a lot faster. Great value for money for what you're getting and the simplicity that it's going to add to your website. The only complicated thing is that we're going to need to connect our domain to our website, but I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. I'll not only show you how to set up your domain, but I'll also show you how to have a professional email at your domain when you sign up for a domain. So we're going to go ahead and click over here to Buy Now. And then you just need to enter in your payment information, and then we'll wind up here. And we just need to click Start Creating Your Website. So here we just need to put in the name of our website. I'm going to use Wedding Photographer, but you want to use the name of your photography business. And then click Next. And right here, it's showing us that we're going to have this temporary domain. So this domain is going to be weddingphotographer.elementor.cloud. And later, as I said before, I'm going to show you how to connect it to your domain name. So you can have, if your company name was Wedding Photographer, you could have weddingphotographer.com or whatever your company name is. And we'll click Next here. And we can say what kind of website we're building. It doesn't really matter here. With Elementor Cloud, you get Elementor Pro, which includes a ton of different templates to get started building your website. I looked at a lot of them. There were some that were very good contenders, but I definitely think that the best one is called Wedding Planner, actually. And I chose this one because I did a lot of research on what other wedding photographers are doing. And I found that this template is very similar to what other wedding photographers are using. And actually, I looked at other places where you can buy website templates, and I found this exact same design, or a very similar design, I should say. People were charging $700 just for the template. So I think that this is a fantastic deal, and we're going to modify it, and I'm going to show you exactly how to make it your own. So if you're on the template preview page to get started, click on the Start with this Kit button, or if you're here where we were previewing it, just click the Start with this Kit button as you hover over the wedding planner design. And it'll take a few moments, and it's going to load this kit up. It's going to load WordPress. It's going to load a theme for us to start building on. It's going to load the Elementor Pro, and it's going to load this kit so we can start building our website. So in a few minutes, that will be ready to go. Okay, so then after all of that has been set up, we'll get to this screen here, and it says your site is ready. So let's click on Let's Go. And this here is the Elementor Cloud Hosting dashboard. I've got several different websites already set up here, as you can see. You'll probably just have one if you're just getting started. On the left here is where you can manage the hosting aspect and your subscription plan and things like that here on the left. There's also support and frequently asked questions. The one thing you'll note here is that it says here that site lock is on. And what that means is that there's going to be a password that any visitors to your website are going to need to fill out in order to view your website. It's just a way of keeping your website private until you're ready to go live. Just something to note. Later on, we're going to need to turn this site lock off. And one of the other features of Elementor Cloud is that you do get daily backups of your website. So if you click on Manage this website here, and if we scroll down here, this is where the site lock pin will be. So you can click on this and it'll show you what the pin is. You can also change it to whatever you want. And this is how we're going to turn off the site lock later on when we're ready to go live with our site. And then down here, we've got the daily backups. So if something should happen to your website, or if you decide that you want to go back, this is how you will restore the website to a previous version. It happens automatically and it's really easy to get to. So let's go ahead and start working on our website. So to do that, we're going to go to the WordPress dashboard. Oh yeah, and if you guys have any questions while you're watching this tutorial, leave them down in the comments below. It helps me improve future videos, and if I can help you with your question, I will definitely respond to you as soon as I can. And if you're completely new to building websites and new to WordPress, this here is the WordPress dashboard. You can think of WordPress as kind of like the operating system of your computer, and Elementor is a plugin. You can think of those as programs that run on top of the base WordPress. So this is where all of the base settings for our website are going to happen, and we're going to be using Elementor to actually design the pages. So you can think of Elementor kind of like Photoshop, perhaps. It sits on top of either Windows or Macintosh and allows you to work on photos. Here, Elementor allows you to design the pages, whereas the actual structure of your site, sort of the database that's behind your site, is managed by WordPress. And if you want to add different programs, later on we'll be adding a program to add in the Instagram feature to our website. That's going to be a plugin. So you can think of plugins as programs, and under appearances, themes. In this case, we don't need to worry about a theme because the Hello theme, which is an Elementor specific theme, has already been installed for us. So some of the things that you'll want to note here is this button here and this top bar here is going to show up across your entire website, and this is going to show up when you're logged into your website. So this is how you will get either from the back end of your website or the dashboard area here to view the front end of your website, or if you're on the front end, and let's go and see what the website looks like right now. We'll click Visit Site. And here we can see this is where the template has been already installed for us. And so you can see the starting point. You can see some of the things that I showed you that are already here. There's also some extra pieces which we'll be removing. And here we've got some different settings up here that have shown up. So if you're viewing your site, sort of just checking to see how it looks, these things here will show up. When you want to start designing or change the design of a page, if you see something you need to change, you'll be clicking usually on this Edit with Elementor button. Customize button here, that customizes sort of the general settings on your website, and we'll be looking at that a little bit later. And if we want to get back to the dashboard, we just hover over here, which will have the title of your website that you added in here, and then we can click on Dashboard. Now let's look at some of the settings that we might want to change here. So under Settings, General, here you'll find the site title that we added, and this tagline usually appears in the site title of our website. So if you look here up at the top, this is not a great example, but here is the previous site that I made. I called it Test Mentor because it was testing Elementor, and just another WordPress website. So that's where this information is going to show up. As you can see here, it says just another Elementor Cloud website. Little joke that they put in. Usually on WordPress, it says just another WordPress website. But that's going to show up to Google, particularly on your homepage. So here, what I would recommend adding in is if you already have the name of your business here, you'll want to add in a tagline that's something to do with your business. So if you're a wedding photographer in a specific city, I would recommend just putting that in. So I'm going to be using Los Angeles as the example for this tutorial here. So we're going to do wedding photographer in Los Angeles. And so that way on your site, when Google looks at it, it's going to show the name of your business dash wedding photographer in Los Angeles as the site title. And here, this is the administration email address. So this is where all the notifications, anything that might be happening to your website, or for example, when we set up that contact form, when people fill out that form, that information is going to be set to this email address. So you want to make sure that that email address is one that you're checking regularly so you can get that information. The other thing, just depending on where you are in the world, you might want to change the way that the date format shows up, especially if you're going to be blogging on this website. And then really important here, click the Save Changes button at the bottom. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about Elementor, which is the main tool that we're going to be using to build and design our website with. So here under Elementor, we have some settings and tools. We won't be getting too much into that because there's really not too much that you need to do. We will be looking at this template feature later on, and the templates are under Theme Builder here. These are the sort of pre-designed pages that have already been installed and set up on our website. And we'll also be creating our own page template, which we'll be using to show off our portfolio pages and our examples of the different weddings that we've done in the past. Okay, and one other thing I want to mention about using Elementor Cloud versus other hosting companies or other ways of buying Elementor is right down here at the bottom, you'll find this little help bubble. And this allows you to directly chat with Elementor support. I've used it actually myself because I made a silly error and I couldn't figure out how to get out of it. I was able to message them and they got back with an answer the next day. They actually had to log on to my website. And let me just show you quickly how you would make a login if you needed some help with your website, for example, from Elementor. So to do that, you'd go over here to Users, Add New, and then you give a username, their email address, first name, last name, optional, website optional, and then password. Either you can generate a secure password like we have here, or you can type in your own password, whichever you prefer. And then if you're allowing somebody else to work on your website or to make modifications, you want to change this role here from subscriber to administrator, and then click Add New. So that's how you would do that. So now let's go ahead and start working on making those changes to sort of customize this template. So if you're enjoying this content so far, consider giving me a thumbs up. It really helps me out and it helps other people out who are trying to figure out the best ways of making websites. So I definitely appreciate that. Now let's get back to it. Okay, so now let's start working on our website. So we're going to start working on the home page. So there's two ways to get to the home page from the dashboard. One is we can go over to Pages here and go to All Pages. And so this is showing us all of our pages. When we're working on posts later for our couples example galleries, we'll be doing that under Posts. But right now, let's talk about pages. So we could go to the home page from here. And since we're using Elementor to design these pages, we can click Edit with Elementor. Or since we're going to the home page, we can also just click on this button up here, and that will take us to the home page. And then to edit, we just click Edit with Elementor. And we also have the option on this page to edit the footer, which is all the way down at the bottom, and that has the footer has this contact form as well as this information down here, and that appears on all of the pages on this website. And you can also decide which pages it does appear on and doesn't appear on. And then we can edit the header, or we can just click on Edit with Elementor, this top button here, to edit the information in the page. Let's actually start by editing the header and getting this to look the way we want it to. Okay, so you'll see a full page here, and we can add different sections. If we wanted to make the header really tall and have other information that would appear on every page, we could do that. But in this case, we just want to edit this, and really we just want to focus here on the site logo. So this logo element is actually a part of WordPress. So in order to change this, we actually need to go back to the dashboard. So to go back to the dashboard, click over here on the hamburger icon, and then we're going to go to Exit. We can go over here to Appearance, Customize, and then we can go over here to Site Identity. And that again is where we have the option to add our title and our tagline and to select a logo. Now, a logo size of 400 by 100 I feel like is a good size. I actually tried 400 by 100 when I was testing building this site, but found that it looked a little bit pixelated. So I went with 800 by 200, and I used a PNG file with a transparent background. Generally, when you're building your website, you want to use the smallest size possible of file sizes and image sizes. Of course, you're a photographer. I understand you want it to look good, but you really want to get that sort of fine line between compressing things down or making them as small as possible and the speed that your website loads on. But in this case, I found 800 by 200 to work better. But I encourage you to try with your logo 400 by 100 first and see if it looks okay. If it does, the file size is going to be a lot smaller, and that's going to help your website load faster. So to upload files, this here is sort of the general media library. We were taken here to upload files. If we had already uploaded our files under media library, that would appear here. Right now, since we're using this pre-designed kit or this pre-designed template, it's uploaded all of these images already. It's kind of to fill in that space so we can see what the design looks like. And later on, you can delete and remove all of these images so that you have just your images on there. But right now, let's go ahead and upload our logo file. And what I do is when I'm processing my images and I'm working on a website, I create one folder, I call it ready for whatever that website is, and I just put all of those files that I've already cut down and compressed. I put them all in that folder just so I know exactly where they are and I know quickly that I'm using the file that I've already compressed. So here I'm going to select this logo file. And since this file has text in it, it literally says something. It says wedding photography. We're going to want to use this alt text function that basically is designed to help people who are, say, visually impaired be able to read what it says. It also helps Google read what it says. So here you might want to say something like logo for whatever the name of your business is. It might be tempting, but you don't want to word stuff in this alt text section, but you do want to legitimately say what these things are, and that will help Google understand your site better and hopefully help your site rank better. Then we'll click select. It asks us to crop it. I don't know why it does that. I guess if you uploaded a different kind of logo file, you could do that. I do think that for Elementor kind of in general, but most website menus, having a longer, shorter, sort of wide and short logo tends to work better. So that's why I've created this logo here specifically for this. Then we'll do crop image. And it's not showing up here, but I know it's there. Sometimes little hiccups like that happen, but we won't worry about that right now. And then we'll just click publish up here. And then we can close out of this. We can go back to the home page. I'm just going to use this shortcut up here. There we go, and our logo is now appearing. Now let's go ahead and edit this, make our logo a little bit bigger. And so to do that, we're going to click Edit with Elementor, and we've got the option here to edit the entire page, in which case we would just click the button on top here. Or we can edit the footer, which is all the way down at the bottom of the page. And in this template, the footer has this contact us form, as well as this other information down here at the bottom. And so let's go ahead and click on Edit Header. So what we have here is the Elementor dashboard, and this is where we're going to be doing most of the designing in this tutorial. On the left-hand side here, we have the widget area, or I like to call it the elements. These are the different types of content that we can add to our web page. This navigator showed up, and I'll show you what that does later on. It works better on pages with more content on it, but basically it's a quick layout of your web pages and what the design looks like. And you can close that here, which I'm going to do in this example, and then you can bring it back up by clicking on this navigator button here at the bottom. And then so once you have elements already added to your page, and since we're using a pre-made template, we already have elements added, when you hover over it with your mouse, you've got two main controls here. On the left-hand side, we've got this column control, and on the right-hand side, we have this pencil control. So the pencil control will control sort of the contents and this section of the widget. The column control over here kind of controls like the background and the spacing around this specific column. And then up here at the top, these are the controls for the section. So this whole area here that's lined in the blue box is the section. And so this section, for example, has two columns. This left column here has the logo, and the right column here has the menu area. And we'll talk later about how we adjust the items that are in the menu. You actually do that, that's part of WordPress. We'll be doing that as part of WordPress later on. And then to adjust the section settings, we would do that here. But for right now, let's just adjust this logo section. So we'll click on the pencil icon, and now we've got the logo settings have shown up here on the left in this panel. And we can decide the alignment. I think that in this case, the left alignment looks good, but if we wanted it center aligned, we could do that here. Under style, you'll find some of the basic style settings. So So I'm going to make the logo just a little bit bigger by adjusting the height over here to about 75. And then you'll notice here, part of this template has this stylized look when you hover over. I actually want to reverse that because the logo that I designed, the WP in the background is grayed out, and I like that, but I think that it would be cool if it did become dark when I hovered over it. So this is a special functionality. It's called a CSS filter. So we're going to adjust that here. And we've got two different modes for this section here. So we've got normal, so that's what it looks like when it's just sitting on our page, and then hover, which is what happens or what it looks like when it hovers. So we're just going to reverse these two settings. So under normal, so to remove it, we're just going to click the restore to default button here, and then we're going to go over here to hover, and we're going to set the hover setting to 1. You can either set it to 1 or 180, or you can leave it the way it was, depending on which you prefer. I actually think I like it, let's see here, dialed all the way down like this. So I'm going to set it like that. And then I think the rest of the menu looks fine. So to save that setting, you just need to click Update here at the bottom. And then to get out of this and to go back to editing our page, or to go back to the dashboard, we can click on this menu hamburger icon up here. And that gives us some settings, some different places we can go to. So we can go to the general site settings, the theme builder. We can also exit. So let's click on, we can also view the page. In this case, it would just be the header section here, or we can click on exit. So we're going to click on exit. When you first click on exit, it's going to give you some options of where you want to go to. The default is to this post. I actually prefer to go to the WP dashboard and then navigate back, but I'm going to set this to WP dashboard and then click apply. Now every time I push the exit button from the Elementor builder, it will go to the dashboard. It seems to be unsure whether we've saved or not, so let's just push stay on page, and then we'll click on the update button at the bottom to save our changes, and then we can click on the exit button to go back to the dashboard. So now we've adjusted the heading of our website and got a little bit of information on how Elementor works. We're going to be learning a lot more about how Elementor works as we go on. The next thing is we're going to adjust some of the fonts and the general global settings of the website to kind of tweak this design and make it a little bit more elegant, in my opinion. And then this is a chance for you to customize it and get some of the basic looks like the fonts looking the way you want to. So that's what we're going to do in the next section. Okay, so let's tweak some of the settings on our site to kind of make it more our own a little bit. So we're going to go back to the home page. So I'm just going to click on this button back here, shortcut to the home page. And I want to scroll down here, and we're going to be looking at this text. We're also going to be looking at this hover over color here. So to adjust these settings, we're going to go over to Edit with Elementor, and then we're going to click on Site Settings. And this is taking us to what's called the global settings here. So let's go over here to global colors. So these are kind of the default colors for our website. And I actually think that most of them are pretty good. Depending on the styling of your brand, you might want to change these. But I do want to change this link color here because I'm having the styling of my brand have a little bit more blue in it. And I've already figured out what that hex code is. And I've got a short little tutorial that if you're on a Mac where you can find the hexadecimal code of any color on your Mac. So I'll link to that up at the top of the video. And so the color code I already know I want is A4C9D8, kind of a light blue color. If we hover over this button here, we can now see it uses that blue color. And then I'm going to click on Update just to make sure that that setting gets changed. And I also wanted to make some changes to the fonts here. I think actually these are a pretty good choice for fonts, but I kind of had my own idea of what the fonts I wanted to use. So we're going to go over here to the global fonts. And I happen to know from testing this that this is the primary font here. So if we click over here on primary, we can change what font that is. And I looked up a bunch of different fonts. I wanted a kind of a more elegant style to this website. So I looked up a bunch of fonts, and I'll put the names of the different fonts that I liked down in the description below. One of the fonts that I liked for the main font for this website was Cormorant's Garamond. Am I saying that right? can leave a comment down below and tell me how I'm saying that completely wrong. But we can search for it. So I'm going to actually start with Garamond here, and then I'm going to click on Cormorant. You know what it is. You guys get what I'm trying to say here. And so there we go. That's changed this font color here. And I messed around actually a lot with the other fonts on this website, and I actually think that they're fine, so I kind of left those alone. The text font, though, I do like to bump up the size in general on my websites of the text font to 18. You just want to make things easy to read for people. I think especially if you're a wedding photographer, I mean, you're going to have the couple looking at your website, I'm sure, but you're going to have the parents looking at your website, and it might be a little bit harder for them to read that small font. So I think bumping up the font, making everything easy to read on your website is always a good idea. So I just suggest bumping that up to 18. And the accent font, that's here is the font for like the buttons and things like that. It shows up in a couple different places. I actually like this Poppins font. I think it works out fine. It's really clear and easy to read. It goes nicely with everything else. The one other place where I want to change the font is in this Let's Make Magic section. I didn't find a great way of automating that. So for some of these highlighted areas, we're just going to do that manually on the pages, and I'll show you how to do that. And then we'll click Update to change those settings. And then we can click back here to go back, and we can close out of this. And now we're back here on the home page. So let's work on this top section here. I like the idea of having a slider here rather than one static image. So let's go ahead and do that. So this image here is actually the background of this column. We can see this column section, and you can see this little dotted line that goes around it. And so instead of being an image widget that's added to it, it's actually the background of this column. So let's first remove that. So we're going to click on this little column button, this gray button up here, and then we're going to click on Style, and that's where the background section lives for this. And then we're just going to use this little trash can button to remove that. Okay, and now let's make this column be a slideshow instead. So we're going to click on Slideshow, and then this here is where we add our images. So we're going to upload those images. We're going to upload files. I know as photographers, we want to have our images look awesome and be like super detailed, but again, to make your website load quickly, you want to make sure that you're compressing them down and getting them to be just the right size. I highly recommend that all of the images you use for your slider be exactly the same size. So I'm using 1040 by 606, and I used a compression on JPEG of I think 59%. Again, you want to make sure those images are compressed. You want them to still look good, but having them be more compressed and load faster is going to be better for you than having super high quality images. We really want our website to load quickly. And one thing to keep in mind is that the pictures that you choose for the slider, you want to have the focus area of it be in the center, not on the outside. And you want to have a little bit of space on the top and on the bottom. This design and Elementor designs create what they call a responsive website. And what that means is that as you adjust the size of the window or the size of the screen, it also does some adjustment to the aspect ratio of the background of these images. So you want to have a little bit of flexibility there in which images you choose. So I'm going to go ahead and select some images for this slider. I'm just holding down Command to select the images that I want. There we go, and I'm clicking Upload. And that's uploading those images here. You can go ahead and add alt text here. I'm not going to because these are basically just for design purposes. They don't specifically say anything, so I'm going to leave that alone, and I'm going to do Create New Gallery. And then here we can adjust which order these images are going to show up in. You can just drag it around like that, and then click Insert Gallery. And there we go. So we've got that. Part of the template here is this down arrow, so I think that kind of will encourage people to look down on your page, so I think that's good. Let's go ahead and scroll down. So next we're going to work on this top section here and make it kind of match what we should be saying or what we might want to say on our website. So the first thing is I like this Let's Make Magic title. I think it's pretty cool, but I really wanted it to stand out a little bit more, so I wanted to use a specialized font here. So I'm going to click on the little pencil icon. And I'm going to leave Let's Make Magic alone. And then under style here, we're going to change what font we're going to use. So we're going to use the pencil icon here. If you use the global button, you'll have access to all of the different global fonts that we have. So that's one way of selecting a font quickly that's already been set up. In this case, I'm going to use the pencil icon and I'm going to search for the font that I want. And this font has a crazy name. It's Quigley. What is it? Not Quigley. Witcher Grypen. I think it looks pretty cool. The transform is set to uppercase, so right now it's all uppercase. I actually think it looks better as normal, and in this case, all lowercase. And then we can adjust the size of the font here. I'm gonna make it pretty big, like this. And then we can see how it's bunching up over here on the right, so we're just gonna change the line height here to match the size. So there we go, we'll use 80. And then we'll click on update just to save that change that we made. And then here, let's adjust what the text says here in the title. So we click on the little pencil icon, we can actually either adjust the text right in here by clicking into it, or you can go over here to the left-hand side and adjust what the text says over here. So here what I recommend is having a statement about perhaps the kind of couples that you would like to work with. So what I came up with is we capture the story of your love and family with a creative twist. So I'm gonna just take a moment and think about, what expresses how you work and the kind of people that you'd like to work with and like how you might communicate that idea to them. Mine's a little bit wordier and I think it kind of takes up a little bit too much space. So I'm gonna go over here under style and typography, and I'm just gonna reduce the size a little bit so it fits on 2 lines, just like that. And the one other thing we want to look at with this too is which HTML tag we're using. And you can generally think of HTML tags as kind of like an outline. So an H1 would be like the main title of the page or section. H2 would be, you can think of that as being like indented, a section inside of the main section. And then H3 is a section underneath H2, kind of like that. So sort of the hierarchy of importance on the page. I wouldn't say that this is particularly important, so I'm going to actually set this here to H3. And then the next line down here, I'm going to remove this text block, and I'm actually going to make this a title block. So to remove a section, you go and you find the pencil icon, you right-click, and then you click delete. And then over here in the widget area, you can either search for a widget, and in this case we're using heading, so I'm just going to drag heading in over here, and then we'll add our text in here. I'm going to set this text here to H2, kind of talking about where the customers are we're looking for, and then under style, and then I'm going to make this size a little bit smaller. Whoa, maybe like this. Gonna center it here under content center, and just to make it stand out a little bit more, adjust the weight here to 800. There we go. And let's just, okay, so here I'm having a little bit of trouble moving this item around. You should be able to click on the pencil and drag it around. But one of the things that we can do is we can go over here to the navigator. And here, what we're seeing is an outline of all the different sections and items on our page. And so here, it's already highlighted the one that we have highlighted here. And we can just drag this and move it up above the button. And that's another way of moving things and seeing the layout of our page. And then down below this button, I'm going to add another little headline here that states Los Angeles wedding photographer, because that's the business that we're in. And so we're going to add that in. So to get to the different widgets, we click on this little button up here, this little grid button. And then we can add another heading down below this. And keep that as H2 because it's pretty important. And then let's adjust the size of this. And we'll center it also. Going over to content, clicking center. And I also want to make this just to add some variability to the design here, I'm gonna change the color and make it a bit of a lighter gray color. I think it's a little bit too light. Just gonna darken it up a little bit here, like this. And we'll give it a little bit more space between this button. We've got two options. We can add some padding around the button. We can add some padding around the title. I'm gonna add some padding around the title. So we've got the title selected, and then here under Advanced is where we have options to add margin and padding around different items. Right now it's set to this lock icon or link icon, which means that when I type in a value here, for example, if I type in 10, that value is going to go all the way around. I really only care about the top. I don't care about the sides so much. So I'm going to unlink this and then set all of the other values to 0. I think I'll set this to 20. Maybe we'll make it 40. Split the difference, we'll make it 30. There we go. Okay, and then I'm not sure what's going on with this button, why the text is now white. So let's just check on that. So I'm going to click on the pencil icon here and go over to Style. And we can see the text color on normal maybe is set to blank. So set that to secondary. There we go. That looks better. Okay, so far looking pretty good. This section here is a little bit too condensed and compressed for my taste. So let's make this a little bit wider. So we're going to click on the section settings up here, which is this blue item here. Okay, so I'm going to click on the settings for this section here. And then we can see that the width is set to 730. So let's bump that up a little bit to 940. I think that looks quite a bit better. And let's put a little bit more padding around this based in Southern California. I think I'm also going to make... So at the top, click on Advanced. So I can set the padding on the top to 30 also. And I'll set the padding on the bottom to 10. There we go. Okay, now I think that this section looks pretty good. And now we'll move on to the next section down below this. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the next section here. So moving down here, we've got this fun little Polaroid type section. I want to take this flawless celebration, which I think is a cool slogan, actually, that's part of the theme here. And we're going to do this let's make magic treatment to it. So to do that, it's going to be very similar. We're just going to click on this here to get to the settings. I'm going to leave flawless celebration. Let me see what I did in my little test version here. I did cherish your memories. So let's change that to cherish your memories. And then let's adjust the font here. So under Style, go over to Typography. I'm going to search for that Quitcher Grypin font. I'm going to change the transform to normal. And then we'll adjust the size here like that. And then let's adjust this text here. And I'm going to make this font size a little bit smaller. I'm going to keep this at H2 because we do have the word wedding in there. And I think that that's a good thing for Google to be looking at. But I do want to change the size just a bit. Let's go with something around 35 perhaps. And then down below this, let's add another little title down here. So we're going to use this grid icon here, and I'm going to add a text section down below this. Add in this text here. And I made this bold and italic because I think that kind of looks cool here. And I'm going to do a right justification. Give it a little bit of space around it. So I'm going to unclick the link values. Top, I'm going to do 30. And I'm going to do a slight variation on the font here. I'm going to use a font called EB Garamond rather than the Cormorant Garabond. So under style, typography, EB Garamond, there we go. And make this a bit, whoa, too big, a bit bigger. Something like this perhaps, about 28. Kind of make that a little bit bolder. Let's go with 25, there we go. And then let's add a button down below this. There's a couple different ways we can add a button. We can go over here to this, and we can drag in the button. But what you'll see with that is, I don't know why. Okay, so something a little bit weird is going on with the builder here. This does happen sometimes. My recommendation is that what you do if something weird's happening is you click your update button to save your settings. And then you just close out of this page, click on exit, go back to the dashboard, and then just go back to the page you're editing. So I'm just gonna go back to the home page. Here, I'm gonna click edit with Elementor. Could also use the button up there at the top too. Then we'll scroll back down to that section we were working on. There we go. And we can add in a button. There we go. But you can see that this button doesn't have any of the styling like the other buttons has. So we're going to delete this. So you go to the pencil icon, you right click on it, and you click delete. And I think the best way to do it is to just go up to the item that you want, right click on it, do duplicate, and then grab it where the little pencil icon is, and then just drag it to where you want it. Come on, little guy. And it should show up over here. It's not. So if you are having that problem, you can go over to the navigator button over here. Got the button highlighted, and we can just drop it. Whoa. Just drop it here below. Let's see here, where am I? Flawless celebration, right below that text. There we go. And we'll change the text of the button here to best wedding moments. So we can see where it says text here. There we go. And later on, when you make that page for your best wedding moments, you're going to go over here to the link button, and you're going to link to it. And we'll be doing that later on, so I can show you how to do that. But one thing you definitely want to keep in your mind is that all of these buttons and links that you created, you want to make sure you test that before you go live with your website. Make sure all the buttons are going to where they want to go. Because right now, by default, since we've downloaded this template, you can see that this button here, for example, is going to library.elementor.com, which is their demo site for this template. So we want to make sure that we're having all of our buttons and things go to the right place. If you're just paranoid about that and you want to make it go just back to the home page, for example, you can push slash. And so basically everything, you can put in your whole URL and then slash, or just to make sure that, like, later on, for example, we're gonna add in our own domain name. So if you just use the slash and then the page name, for example, that will go to that page on the domain that the website is currently on, if that makes sense. Or you can just do slash and that'll just go automatically to the home page. So click on that and we can do update. I'm gonna close this navigator here, and then let's go and edit this section here. So just so you know what's going on with this section, what we have here is we have a column. I believe that there's some margin around this column with a white background, and then we've got our image element. So basically they've grabbed this image section here and they've put it in here. So what I'd recommend for this image is you want to use an image that's, I would suggest actually 600 by 600, because it's not really taking up very much real estate space on our page, so we really don't need a super huge image. And to change this image, just click on the little pencil icon over here, go over here to the left, select choose image. I'm going to upload an image from my set of images here. So I've got the fun bridesmaid image, which I've set to 600 by 600. Click on upload. And then you can add alt text if you want. I'm just going to do insert media. There we go. In this example, they've got a signature of the photographer. I think that's actually a pretty cool thing. So if you want to do a little signature graphic, you can add that in here. I'm just going to delete it. And I'm actually going to change this text over here to remove the date. I don't know. I feel like your portfolio can live on for several years and still look relevant without having the date in here. So I'm just going to remove the date and maybe just add bridesmaids underneath this or something. And if you don't want to have that big gap in your text when you're using the text editor, if you hold down the Shift key and then push Enter, it'll go down just one line. There we go. And also on this section here, under the column settings, under advanced, I believe, there is this motion effect that's turning on. So as you scroll, that image tilts. I don't know if you noticed that when I was showing you the example. Kind of a fun little effect, and I'm just going to leave that in there. Now we can go ahead and move on to the next section. So this section here, I don't think we need at all. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete it. So to delete a section, you just click on the little X at the top of the section, and there it goes. Also don't need this button section, so we're going to delete that. Next here, we have sort of the links to our top portfolio items that we want people to see. And so the only thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to change this latest weddings to match the other style that we have, this sort of cherish your memories style. And we should actually be able to right click on this and then do copy. And then if we go down here to the latest weddings section, click on this, right click on it, and then do paste style. There we go. Should be able to get that style copied over. And then we just need to center it. And we'll just adjust the spacing. Something's going on with the spacing here. You can see how it's overlapping this title down below it. So I'm just going to add some padding around the bottom of it. Let's do 20. There we go. And you can add in your own text about, the favorite weddings that you've captured here. We'll be working on this later on, but this section here is actually called a post section. And what it's doing is it's grabbing posts from a particular category. And we're going to make that category, and I'm going to show you how to create a template for that category so that you can make a great looking portfolio page based on each of your favorite weddings. So we'll be editing this later and looking at it, but we'll look at that later on. And then we've got our kind words from our couples. And I think what I want to do here actually is under the Let's Make Magic, let's just get them straight to that portfolio setting. So we're going to move this section up. Oh, let's see. So we've got two different sections here actually. There's this little mini section, which is down here below, and we've got this larger section. So we're looking for the one that's got the plus icon next to it, and we want to grab that and move that up here. There we go. There we go. And then we've got our cherish your memories. We've got this testimonials section here, and you definitely want to edit the testimonials to actually reflect your testimonials. So to do that, you would just go over here to the pencil icon, and then we have the different items here. You click on the item, and you add in the content and the image that you want. You can choose to have the date. They are using this title section for the date. I would just delete the date, but maybe you want to put in the date. It's up to you. But let's next work on adding that Instagram section. And so to do that, we're going to need to add in a special plugin. So let's save the work that we've done on the home page here by clicking on the Update button. And then we're going to go to the three menu bars here, and we're going to go over to Exit and go back to the dashboard to add in this plugin. So to add this Instagram section for Elementor plugin, what we need to do is we need to go over from our dashboard, go to Plugins, go to Add New, and then we want to search for plugins, and we're going to look for the Stratum plugin. And we're going to install this Stratum Elementor widgets. And then we're going to click Activate. Then we're going to go over to the page that we want to add the element to. In this case, we're navigating to the homepage by just clicking on the Visit Homepage button at the top, and then find the location on the page where you want to add the Instagram widget. And so let's make a new section for that. So we're going to click on Edit with Elementor at the top. And we'll make a new section for this. So to create a new section, we just go to the section below it and we click the plus icon. And then we click Add New, and we're going to make this a full width section. And these other sections have a 4% padding on either side. So we're going to also add a 4% padding to each side on this. So on this section, we're going to go to Advanced, Padding, click on the percent button, unclick Link Values, add a 4 here, and a 4 here. There we go. And we can add in that widget. So we'll click over here, and then can search for it. So Instagram has now been added in here. And it's telling us we need to connect our Instagram account. So before you do that, you want to make sure that you're already logged into the correct Instagram page. So go ahead and sign into Instagram, sign into the correct account, and then we're going to click on this Connect Instagram account. And then we'll do Connect Instagram account again. And it's asking you which account, so make sure that you are logged into the correct account and it shows up here, and then click Allow. There we go, and then click Save Changes. Then we can go back to the page. And then at the top, click Edit with Elementor. And then scroll down to where we added the Instagram widget, and you'll see, here it is. This is my Instagram feed right on my page. And that's how you add an Instagram widget to your website with Elementor. And we can edit the settings on this. If you don't want 6 items, if you want more or less, you can choose that. And then click Update to save those settings. Next, let's just add a title for this section. So to do that, we're going to go over here to the widgets. And then I want to add an intersection on top up here. And I'm going to delete one of these columns. So it's just one column. Click Edit Column, Delete. And then we'll add in a heading. Call this heading Stories Captured. And I'm going to center that. And then above that, I'm going to add I'm going to actually add a text section like this. So I'm going to right click on the pencil icon and then do duplicate and drag it down above here. And then just have it say latest. And then kind of want to have this fun look to this where the latest is kind of hanging over the edge here. So to do that, I'm going to take this intersection that I added and just squeeze it down. So I'm going to click on the little grid button to get to the controls for the intersection. And I'm going to set the width to 500. And there we go. Now we've got this latest stories captured. And it's got our Instagram things. So that's how we add an Instagram widget to the page. Now let's add one more section here, and we're going to add a About Us. I don't know if it's like that for you. Maybe you're really outgoing and you love to talk about yourself. I personally don't like to talk about myself that much, but I do think it's important as a wedding photographer to tell a little bit about yourself and tell about how you work and how you're going to communicate with the couple and with the family and everything. So let's add a little About section here, and then we can link that smaller About section to our actual About page where we can write a little bit more about how we work and what our clients can expect from us. So to do that, I'm going to add it actually right below this Cherish Our Memories section. So I'm going to look for the section right above it. So not the inner section that we added, but the one just above that. I'm going to click on the plus icon, add a new section. And here I'm going to get a little bit of help from the Elementor pre-built templates. So we're going to click on this Add Template button. And I'm going to use the Blocks button. So as you can see, Elementor includes a lot of different pre-built blocks that you can choose from. I'm going to use this About Company block here. I'm going to click Insert. There we go. And I'm going to add in our own text here. So I'm going to have it say, I'm all about capturing the moment. So this headline here is going to say, and for the next title section, I'm going to scroll up here and grab this one. So I'm going to right click on the pencil icon and do duplicate. And then I'll drag this down above the capturing the moment. And then we'll just change the text here to say, I'm all about. all about capturing the moment, and then you can say what you want to say here about yourself. And this read more button, I'm just going to delete it. And I'm going to copy this best wedding moments button here. I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to drag it in down here. It's being disagreeable, so I'm just going to use the navigator over here on the left. And I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to drag that under here. There we go. And let's edit this button. So click on the little icon here to About Me. And we already know we want this to go to the About Me page. And so you can see the About page is here, so we just click on that. It'll automatically go over there. So make sure that this is going to load correctly later. I'm actually going to remove the address and just have it go to the /about/, and that will take it to the right page. And then we'll click Update at the bottom to save our settings. And let's close this navigator. And let's change this image. So we'll click on the pencil icon next to the image. And then on the left-hand side panel, we'll click Choose Image. And I'm going to use the image that came with this template because I don't have a great image of myself for this, but we'll use this image here. Insert media. There we go. There we go. Now we've got a little About section where we can talk a little bit about how we work. That can lead to our more in-depth discussion about how we work here. So now we can kind of preview what this page is going to look like. So one way of doing that is there's this little arrow. Let me scroll up here. This little arrow here, which will slide the Elementor dashboard away. And then we can see sort of the full view of what our website will look like full width. And then the last thing we want to do on any page that we work on really is open up the sidebar, and then we want to click on this responsive mode button. And then up here at the top, you'll see some various different formats for our website. So we've got a tablet format and a mobile format. In general, I find the tablet format works fine, but the mobile format, sometimes you'll find some weird things happening that we need to adjust. And Elementor is smart enough to know that when you're on the mobile view, that it's just going to edit those settings for just the mobile version of your website. So if we click on mobile, scroll up to the top, and we'll just take a look. Here we can see that these titles, the sort of flare titles that I added, are a little bit small on mobile, so let's just adjust those. So we're going to click on the pencil icon, go over to Style, click on Typography, and just make those a little bit bigger. I'm going to say 50 for those. And then any other title you see that you want to change the size of, just go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to go through each of the different sections here, adjust the size of everything, just sort of fast forward through this part, and you should do the same on your website. Okay, there we go. And now we'll take one more look at the desktop version by clicking on the desktop button at top and just make sure everything's the way we want it. This section, got this Ideas Magazine section, which goes to the blog. We don't need that, so we're just going to delete that. I guess if you've been featured in wedding magazines or something like that, and you want to put that here, you can leave this section. I'm going to take this section out. There we go. And now we've got this very bottom part here. This just allows us to add a new section at the bottom, but you don't have to worry. This isn't going to show up on your actual website. It's just there for you to be able to edit it. You can actually see that it goes away when we use the little arrow to slide the tray away. So you can kind of like get a good preview of that. Okay, so there we go. Now we've got a pretty good looking homepage for our wedding photographer portfolio website. So next up, we're going to work on the individual couples gallery pages. And we're going to make a template for that. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So let's go ahead and leave our homepage for now. We're going to click on Update. And then we're going to go back to the dashboard by clicking on Exit. Okay, so the next thing we're going to work on are the pages where we're going to put our example weddings on, so our sort of couples pages, you could call them. And to do that, we're first going to need to make a new category under posts, and then after that, we're going to work on making a new post template One that's going to be for our content, and one that's just going to be the bottom of our post, so that it's easy for our viewers to navigate between the different weddings that we've worked on. So to get started with that, we're going to first add that category. So from our dashboard, we're going to go over and click on posts, and then we're going to go to categories. And by default, this template uses this couples gallery here for that, but I want to create a new category for us that has the name that we want. So for this category, I'm going to do weddings. And you can give it a description here if you want to. I don't think it's really necessary. And then click add new category. So now we've got this new category here for weddings, and this is where we're going to put the posts that we create as our example galleries. Now let's work on the template. So the template's going to be part of Elementor. So we're going to go here under templates and then theme builder. And we want to go to single post on the left. And we're going to recreate this post right here. So what you want to do is you want to find the single project post. This one here is part of the template that we're working on. We're going to click on edit up here. And now this post here is using the default WordPress post fields. So we've got, it's kind of hard to see because they're all jammed up together here, but if you click on the little arrow icon, you can see post title, text editor, post field. It also has some specialty posts which require a plugin to add, and I messed around with trying to make the way that they're suggesting you do it in this template work, and I think it just wound up being a lot more work and a lot more time consuming and way more complicated than you really need. The only thing we really need is the buttons, which aren't showing up right now because it's what they call dynamic content, which means that it's going into the database of the posts to get that information. But they have this nicely styled back and forth button that you can use to go between the different posts. So we want to keep that, and we basically want to get rid of the rest of it. So in order to copy this, we're going to go over here down to the bottom where it says update. We're going to click on the save options arrow next to update, and we're going to do save as template. And then we'll call this, I'm going to call it wedding project post bottom. Very long title, but that's what it's, the function that it's going to serve. Then we're going to click on save up here. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to close this. You can also exit out of this here by going up to the menu and then doing exit. So then we're going to go back to templates, theme builder. We're going to go for the single post. And we're going to go over here to the one we just created. Where did it go? Wedding project post bottom. And we're going to click edit. And essentially here, we're going to just delete everything but that one piece. So we're going to delete this entire top section here. And to do that, you're just going to click the X icon for that top section. And then here, we're just going to right click on the pencil icon here, and we're going to do delete. And we're going to do the same thing for the featured image. We're going to right click on it and do delete. And now we're just left with this post navigation section. We're going to leave that. And then we're going to click update down here. And we want to add a condition to where we want this template to display. So the condition that we're going to add is posts, and underneath posts you want to select on in category, and so that weddings category that we created, we're going to have this template show up there. And there's a default one that they've created called Weddings Magazine, but we want the one that we created called Weddings, so we're going to add that in there, and then we're going to do save and close. Okay, so now all of the posts that we create with that category, weddings, is going to have this bar show up here by default. And we just want to check the settings real quick. It should say here on the left, it should say in terms post, and then post taxonomy categories. And what that means basically is that it's for posts, and then for posts with the same category are what's going to show up. So all of the posts in wedding, this bar should show up, and it should navigate between just those posts in that one category. And if for whatever reason this isn't showing up, click on the plus button here, select posts, and then make sure that the post taxonomy is categories, and then do update. Okay, now we can exit out of this, And now let's make our page design that we're going to use for these posts. So this is something we're going to have to add in every time we want to create one of these posts, but I can tell you it's a lot simpler to do it this way than the default that they had. So in order to create this page design, we're going to go to Templates, Add New, and then the type of template we want to create is a page. And we can enter in our template name. So we're going to call it Weddings Portfolio. Call it Weddings Portfolio Page, then do Create Template. And so we're going to start out by adding a new section. So here we're going to click on this new section. We're going to have it be a single column section. And then we'll add in a heading here. And we can set that heading to center. I'm going to set it to H4, and I'm going to call this one Weddings. And I want to use that highlight style text that we've been using at the top of each section. So we're going to go over here to Style, and I'm going to find that font that I liked. What is it? Quitcher Grypen. And we're going to set this to normal. Bump up the size quite a bit here, something like this. There we go. And below that, we're going to add another title, and this is where we're going to put sort of the name of this event. So in this case, I'm going to assume that you want to share couples, but it can be anything that you want it to be. So we're going to go back to the elements or the widgets up here. We're going to add another title down below this. And we're going to center that. And just for now, we're going to put in some temporary text. So I'm going to do name of event. And it's just to remind us when we're filling this out that that should be the name of the event. I'm actually going to make this one here the H1 tag because that's sort of like the heading of this section. And then down below that, I'm going to add one more heading here with the location of this event. Do center. Going to do location, and then city, and I want to change the font to kind of our default text font. So to do that, I'm going to go to primary here, and I'm just going to do text, but I want the size to be larger. So under style here, typography, bump that size up to something like 35 or so, and maybe make the weight a little bit thicker. No, I think I like the weight at 200. There we go. So that's the very top, sort of the heading area for this section. And then down below that, we'll add in a text box where you can describe the event, describe any aspect of it that you want. So to do that, we'll go back to the widget up here. We'll add in the text editor. There we go. And I do want to leave it left justified, but I want to make this whole section here a little bit narrower so that it looks nicer. So to do that, I'm going to adjust the settings for this section. And up here at the top, I'm going to click Edit Section. For the width, I'm going to set the width to about 870. That looks good. And then let's just add some space between the name of the event and the location and city. So we can either do that with the weddings title or the name of event title. I'm going to choose the weddings title here. And under advanced, I'm going to add some padding to the top and bottom. So I'm going to click on the linked values to unlink the values. At the top, I'm going to add some space of 20. At the bottom, we'll add some space of 20. Whoa, not 200, just 20. 20 also to give us a little bit of space there. That looks good. And I think the same thing with the text. Add a little bit of space between there. So click on the pencil icon by the text, go over to advanced, unlink the values, and then for the top value, we'll do 20, not 200, just 20. There we go. All right, so that's the top section of this design. Now down below that, we're going to add another section where we're going to put in our gallery. So we're going to click on the plus icon here. We're going to add a new single column section. And then we're going to go up to the Elementor widgets box up here. And then we're going to type in gallery. And we want to use not the basic gallery, but the just gallery. I'm going to drag that in here. And now just so that we can see what our design is going to look like, I'm going to add in some images here. So I'm just going to select some random images from this template, something like that, create new gallery, insert gallery at the bottom. There we go. And the design that I like for this is I like to use the masonry layout, which apparently, there we go. And then I like to have it be 2 columns. And this is just for this one demo, but if you want to rearrange these items, you can click on that box up there and you can rearrange these any way you want to. But this is going to show up for now on every page that we add this to, and then you'll just have to change the pictures as we go. I think the spacing looks good. The one thing is that the pictures look a little bit blurry, so to fix that, we're going to go to image size down here, and then I think medium large does a good job of being clear enough. And that looks good. And then the one thing I want to do is on the rest of the pages, there's 4% padding on either side to kind of give some white space on the sides of that. So we're going to add that to the section here. So we're going to click on Edit Section, go over to Advanced, uncheck the linked values, and then set the values to % right here. And then on the right, we're going to do 4, and on the left, we'll also do 4, but we won't do 4D, we'll just do 4. There we go, that looks good. And let's add actually a little bit of padding on top too. So I'm going to add another 4 on, add 2% on top, something like that. There we go. Okay, so now we've got a great little template that we can just add in. One last thing we need to do is by default, the name of the page will show up here, but we don't want that because it looks kind of ugly, quite frankly. So to get rid of that, we're going to click on the gear icon on the bottom left here. And then where it says hide title, we're going to turn that to on. And there we go. Now we got a good looking template. We're going to click publish to save that template. And now that template will be available to us to add to any page we want to, but we're going to use it on our weddings portfolio pages. And now we can just exit back to the dashboard. And next I'm going to show you how to create those posts. And then after that, we'll add them to our home page and we'll add them to our gallery page. Okay, so now we're going to create those portfolio page posts with the templates that we created. We're going to go over here to posts. We're going to click on add new. And then we want to give the post a name. So in this example, I'm doing couples as the type of portfolio pages that we're creating. So we're going to call this one John and Susie. And then this is really important. We're going to be editing this with Elementor. We're going to be using this edit with Elementor button at the top here. But this is how you would normally create a post in WordPress, is you would just add a block here, add in a paragraph, add in an image. And so I would say for doing general blog posting, you would want to use the built-in WordPress editor, and this is how you would use that. But because we're using this sort of more stylized design, we're going to be using the Edit with Elementor button. The other thing here is you want to add in a featured image. So this is going to be the hero image that's going to show up on blog feed pages, for example, like on the home page, in our gallery page when we get that set up. So we want to have that looking nice. And so choose a featured image. I would recommend all of the featured images that you choose, that you use the same aspect ratio. That way the same shape of image will show up across your website. So I think that in this template that the vertical style looks good. So you want to make sure that you're using vertical style images with the same size as your featured image. I'm going to choose, let's choose one with a couple here. Whoops, but we want it vertical. One is here. Okay, here we go. Here's a vertical one. I'll do set featured image. The other thing we want to pick here is the category. So from over here under categories, we're going to choose weddings because this is going to go into our weddings portfolio, and that's how it's going to know where to go, is by choosing this category. And now we can click edit with Elementor up here. Okay, let's just do save draft just to make sure it saves those settings. So we'll click save draft here. Now we'll go back and click back to WordPress editor. Now I'll click again on edit with Elementor. Here we go. And you can see, because we selected that category, that this navigation block here is already showing up. So that's exactly what we want. So we'll click on this template button here to add a new template. And we'll go over to My Templates. And the wedding portfolio page template is the one we want to use. So we're going to click Insert that. Apply the settings to the page too. Yes, we want to apply the settings. And there we go. Now, I've seen this happen a few times where when you add in a page, your fonts don't show up, but I found that once you save and exit, the fonts do show up correctly, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. What we do want to do here, though, is we do want to change the titles here. So we're leaving weddings as sort of like the general title for this category, so we're going to leave that alone, but we do want to change this to John and Susie. And then whichever location that this was done, we should do SoCal, right? Totally. SoCal. Okay, and there we go. So that takes care of that. Now if we click the Publish button over here, that's going to make this post live. And we can click Have a Look. And there we go. And you can see the navigation is showing up here. However, there aren't other posts in this category yet, so that's not showing up. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. So we can go back to the dashboard. Okay, so let's go ahead and add in another project just as an example. So go to Posts, Add New. Give this one a title. Tom and Jerry. And then we'll choose the weddings category. We'll add in a featured image. And we'll do Save Draft. Then we'll click on Edit with Elementor. And then now you can see the John and Susie navigation is showing up here. So that's perfect. That's just what we want. And we'll click the Add Template button here. And we'll go to My Templates, choose the weddings portfolio page and insert that. To apply settings. And then also what I didn't do last time is you do want to add in your own text here and change the images for this actual event. So you do that by clicking, for the images, you click on here, you choose the actual images you want. I'm actually going to just change some of these images around just so that we can see that is in fact a different gallery here. And go to name of event, Tom. There we go. And then we can click Publish down here at the bottom. And then we can click on Have a Look to check it out. You can see that the font did in fact change the way I said it would. Everything looks good. Okay. So you can also add new directly from this top bar here. So if you hover over New and then go to Post, create a new post that way. Make sure we do Weddings category, set a featured image, go, Save Draft, Edit with Elementor. And I'm just going to create the rest of this post. I'm just going to fast forward through this part, and then we'll meet back on the dashboard where we will add this to our homepage. And then we can either go to Pages, or since it's the home page that we're editing, we can just click on the button up here. So I'm going to go to Pages just to shake it up a little bit. So click on Pages, then Home, and then I'm going to do Edit with Elementor. And then we'll scroll down to that section. Here we go. Here's this, each couple has its own style section, and here are the, what do they call this? The posts, edit posts. So to edit the posts, or to edit which posts are showing up here, we're going to go over here down to the bottom, and where it says query, we're going to change that query from the term being categories wedding magazine to categories just wedding. So I'm just typing in wedding here, and we've got wedding magazine, which was the default from the template, and we're just going to choose our weddings here. There we go, and now we're seeing the weddings that we've created. One of the other options with this post section is the ability to add in the excerpt from the post. And that's a small bit of writing that you can put, and you'll find that under the WordPress post editor right below the featured image post. And that way, if you want to say a little bit of something about each of these posts in that post, you can add it there and then turn on the excerpt switch in this post layout. So that's another option you have for styling this section and maybe providing a little bit more information to get your prospective clients to click through on these images. Let's do the same thing with our gallery page. So it's just showing these posts here. So we're going to click on Update to save those changes that we created. Now we're going to exit this and we're going to go back to the dashboard. Going to go over to Pages, All Pages, and then we're going to edit the gallery. So we're going to do Edit with Elementor. We have our Unforgettable Weddings here, and again, we're using this post category, so you'll probably be adding a lot more, but I just have 3 for this example. But we're going to do the exact same thing we did on the home page. We're going to go here to the pencil icon. We're going to scroll down to Query, and we're going to change this here. We're going to delete that from Wedding Magazine, and we're going to add in Weddings. There we go. Now it's showing those weddings. I'm going to remove the date because I don't think that the date's really including anything or helping your prospective customers know anything, I guess, except for how recently you did the last wedding. So you can leave that in if you want. I'm going to remove it. So under layout, if we go down here to metadata, we can choose which one we want. None of those are terribly useful. So I'm just going to remove that. And again, if you wanted to add the excerpt, you would add that here, but you would want to add in some excerpt information into the posts that you created here. Okay, so now I've got the gallery page going and we've got our home page looking good. So now let's do sort of the final cleanup to finalize this site. So we're going to click on Update to save those changes here. We're going to exit back. Let's adjust the menu. So if we look at our site here, we've got Home, About, Gallery, Planning. We don't need the planning thing, so let's see how we modify the menu here. So to modify the menu, we can go up here and we can either select menus right here. That's probably the easiest way to do it. You can also go back to the dashboard, and under Appearance, you'll find Menus. This takes you to exactly the same place either way. And there are no blog posts, so there's no blog active. So for this, I'm going to delete the blog. So just click on the arrow here and then do Remove. The planning section, we don't need that page, so I'm going to remove that page. That doesn't actually remove the page from our site. It just removes the link from the menu. And then the rest of these here, those are fine, so we can leave those. And these are showing here all of the pages that are available. You can also look at all the posts. So these are the posts we created. So if for some reason you wanted to add a post to your menu, you could do that. And then of course, the most important thing, a little hidden here behind the Help button, but you want to make sure you click Save Menu. So that takes care of that link. Now if we go back to Visit Site, we scroll down. We want to make sure that this Schedule Consultation button goes to the contacts. So we're going to click Edit with Elementor. And scroll down here and click the little Edit button. And then we want to make sure this is going to the right place. We actually don't need, and we don't want, this is the templates website, so you want to make sure you delete that. I would just leave / and then contact, because that's the page that it's on. If you don't remember exactly which page it is, let's see what happens if we just do contact. Okay, so the contact page will show up. However, this is not our final domain name, so we need to remove the HTTPS and just leave the /, and the / will make sure also that when we do add in our final domain name that it will go to the right place still. So contact, and we'll click Update. And then we've got this View Our Gallery button, so we want to make sure that that's also going to the right place. So again, the gallery is just /gallery, which is the name of the page. So we can just remove that, click update there. And then best wedding moments. So if you wanted to create a new page with best wedding moments, or if you wanted to have a specific post that had the best wedding moments on it that was there underneath your wedding portfolio pages, you could do that. I'm going to leave this alone because I haven't created that page, but I think you can understand how to do that now. We'll make sure this About Me button is going to the right place, which we already changed that, so it is going to the About page. These buttons here will link to your Instagram. And the one last thing you might want to do here, or you should do if I didn't mention this already, is change this background to a picture that's yours. Make sure you've got the rights to the pictures that are on your website. And you would change the background by clicking on the Edit Column button here, because you can tell that this is part of the column, not part of the section. Click on the Edit Column button, and then under Style, the image is right here. You could also do a gradient background or a slideshow again, and you would just push the trash icon or choose image to change it. I'm not going to change it because I don't have a picture to fit there, but you as wedding photographers or photographers probably have some great images to put in there. And you want to do the same thing here with the footer. Go ahead and next we'll edit the footer, kind of moving all the way down. So we're done with the home page. We've got all of those links should be set up correctly. So we'll click Update at the bottom, and then we will exit. Okay, so now let's edit the footer. So to get to the footer, we're going to actually go to it from the home page. So click at the top to get to your home page, and then hover over Edit with Elementor and select Footer. And we've got our contact form, so you can change the image of the contact form just like I showed you before, where you go to Edit Column, Style, and then you can choose the image you want here. And you can also edit any of this writing here. Obviously, you don't want to leave the lorem ipsum text. You want to put in real text here. And we can adjust the form here by clicking on the pencil icon next to the form. So you can choose which information you want the form to have, what the buttons say on the form here. And the most important thing is this collect submissions. So one of the submissions is going to go to a submissions category on your website, and I'll show you where that is. The other place it's going to go to is that admin email address that you had. So every time somebody adds a submission to your form, it's going to get. And the last part you want to pay attention to is this information at the bottom, and this is going to be where the emails are going to show that they are from, the name that they're going to be from, and then what the reply to address is going to be. So you want to make sure you change those to correct addresses that you own. You'll also want to change this text down here to your contact information rather than the default contact information here. And same thing here with your social media icons. You'll want to change those as well. And so to do that, you just click on the pencil icon where the social media icons are, click on the social media icon, and then add in your link there. That takes care of the footer here. It doesn't have the update since I didn't make any changes. But there we go to that. And we can go back and exit to the dashboard. Okay, and so now for those submissions that come in from that contact form, they should get emailed to you. You'll also find them here under Elementor and then Submissions. And there'll be a whole list of all of the submissions that have been added to your website. So that's where you'll find that. And then we'll just go back to the dashboard. Okay, so the last thing we need to do is to get a domain name and connect it to our website so we can have our website have its own domain. And so I'll link to a video up here which will show you exactly how to do it step by step. And then I'll also show you how to connect your domain to Elementor Cloud so that your visitors can view your website. Okay, so there we go. We have done it. We have made a great looking wedding photographer's website. If you enjoyed this video, definitely consider giving me a thumbs up, subscribe for more tips and tricks. And if you know somebody else who could benefit from this video, definitely consider sharing this with them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. And of course, if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below.